Black people make everything about race. Is so ironic when y'all say that. The very fabric of this country is built on racism. We don't have free healthcare because y'all don't want black people to have free healthcare. We don't go to college for free because y'all didn't want black people to be able to go to college for free. We have high interest rates on certain types of loans because of racism. We're not excelling as a nation as much as we could because y'all don't want black people to do better than y'all. Y'all burned down our communities because of racism. Y'all flooded black communities because of racism. We did not create a system of racism. Your forefathers did. We don't make everything about race. Y'all created a system of racism and y'all still benefit from it and to this day. So miss me with that black people make everything about race. No, we don't. Y'all do. Y'all created it. Take it up with your fucking meemaw and your peepaw. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. I'm tired of y'all. Y'all trying to destiny swap and role reverse and play the oppression Olympics. We already know that y'all have inherent biases toward black people. There's a lot of anti-blackness going on, and y'all, a lot of y'all is just racist. It is what it is.
Every time a story breaks involving a black person and a negative experience, whether it is at work, in the street, or even at store, you will hear people say, "There they go again, making it all about racism." But is that really an exaggeration, or is it a reflection of a reality that many people just do not understand? Today, we are going to break down why so many black Americans say the word through the lens of race and why, whether you agree or not, it is not as far-fetched as you might think. Watch and pay attention, and I will share my thought later.
People are like, oh my God, like black people make everything a race issue. So-and-so makes everything a race issue. And I just want it to be known that if you look hard enough, you can find racism attached to almost everything in society. Not just American society, but like predominantly Western societies. Racism is somehow some way attached to it. Ergo, y'all need to be taking that up with your ancestors and not with me. Because just because I point things out in the system does not mean that I built the system. You're mad at me for seeing. You need to be mad at your ancestors for building. And you need to be mad at yourself for not deconstructing. So stop coming in black folks' mentions talking about how y'all make everything about race when white people constructed race and perpetuates racism. Y'all need to be mad at your ancestors. Y'all spend too much time being mad at me. Be blessed.
White people in 2025 need to stop the fucking question of why do you make everything about race? Open your goddamn eyes. Well, let's start there. Darren Beatty, this dude that was fired from the Trump administration last time for attending a white supremacist function, was just hired back in as the president of the U.S. Institute of Peace. It's right in front of you. White supremacy. That's what's happening. Open, overt, violent white supremacy from the top down. They're throwing it in our faces. And as a white person, you have the fucking balls to say, why is this all about race? Everything is about fucking race. ICE is straight up racially profiling anybody that isn't white. They got quotas to meet, and they're just throwing people in concentration camps in America. What the fuck do you mean? Why is everything about race? Cops continue to carry out violence against black men, women, and children every fucking day I get on here. What do you mean? Why is everything about race? Your president, Donald J. Trump, Daddy Trump, ran off of making you afraid of anyone that isn't white. Haitian immigrant families, Mexican immigrant families, other immigrant families that aren't white, but then he lets motherfuckers, white people from South Africa come over here and make sure they're comfortable and taken care of. What the fuck do you mean? Why does everything always have to be about race? Because it is. And then you got people on the left that are like, this is just a class war. If we could all just come together for class solidarity, we'd fix everything. No, the fuck we wouldn't. Because if we achieved class solidarity, there would be white people still calling black people the fucking N-word. There'd still be white people using slurs and trying to figure out how to use a system against anyone that isn't fucking white. The detachment from reality has to stop. The fucking ignorance and apathy of white people has to fucking stop. Everything is about race. And I only hit the very tip of the iceberg because I could go down. I have in so many videos over the past 5 fucking years to explain how so much shit In this country, everything is about race. And why the fuck are you listening to me? You should be listening to Black, Indigenous, people of color in this country that have been giving you the truth for centuries. Stop asking that goddamn question and ask yourself why that's your deflection. Because if everything is about race, which the fuck it is, what does that mean about you when you don't want to fucking talk about it?
Savannah, why do you make everything about race? Like, why are you always talking about race? Like, not everything is about race. Everything is about race! It is! Everything is! Every single part of our society traces back to racism. Everything. The damn ice cream truck song is fucking racist. The reason we have credit scores and student loans is because they did not want Black people to live. But you want to get mad at me because every time I talk about racism, you get annoyed. Because every time I bring up something, oh, it's because this, it's because of race, it's because of racism, you get mad. Shut the fuck up. Savannah, why do you make everything about race? Like, why are you always talking about race? Like, not everything is about race. Everything is about race!
Man, that is so true. And the thing is if you don't have to live it every day, if you don't have to live with microaggressions every single day, if you don't have to live with over racism every single day, then I can see why you would say, oh, why do you make everything about race? Everything's not about race. Just because you are not racist, just because somebody in your family is not racist, it does not mean that America is not racist. We're talking about institutionalized racism. We're talking about systemic racism. Everything is about race. Absolutely fucking everything is about race. And I know that it is very hard for some people to understand, but that is just the fact of the matter. I mean, from slavery to Jim Crow to now, everything has always been about race. Let me give you a quick story because I hate how people think that we are so far removed from historical racism and slavery and all that that there's no effects of it today. So in the 70s is when my family moved to Washington State, right? My mom is white passing. My mom is white passing and my dad is obviously Black. So they were going to purchase a home in Washington State. Now, redlining, this really aligns with all of the redlining that went on like through the Jim Crow era. But they were going to purchase a home in Washington State. They had a real estate agent. They found the home that they wanted and everything was going fine until one day the real estate agent called them up and said, hey, you lost the house. The sellers are not going to be selling to you anymore. And the reason why that happened is because a neighbor of the home that my parents were going to buy, they called their neighbor, the homeowner, and told them that a Black family is going to be moving in. And so that is why they retracted their home purchase from my parents. From that moment on, my mom had to go alone to get us a house. Like I said, my mom is Mexican, but she is white passing. So she went alone without my dad, without her own brown children, because all of my siblings look like me. And so she couldn't go with her children. She couldn't go with her husband to go get a house. And that is how they were able to get a house. Everything is about race. This was in the 70s. We are not so far removed from it. Like, I know things have changed, things have advanced, but there is still a lot of systemic racism going on, and I could go on and on. Let me just tell you one more thing that you may not know. Did you know that back in Jim Crow era, the most expensive product that Black people were allowed to buy was a Cadillac? They could not buy a home. So if Black people were to say that, we've made it a show to say that Black people have made it, and by way of monetary value, they would be in a Cadillac. And that is why Cadillacs are so popular today with Black people, because that is the only high purchase ticket item that they could, or high ticket item that they could purchase back in the day. And so, as you can see, things generationally, it goes down from generations. And so it's like, if everything wasn't about racism, if it wasn't systemic, like, why is it that so many things that happened back then are still relevant today? Because it goes from generation to generation to generation. That's all I gotta say. Bye.
Before y'all sit there and try to question black people on why we always make it about race and stuff like that, who invented racism? Who invented slavery? Who invented picnics? I just don't understand. Like, y'all want to take credit for every other thing else that y'all invented, but y'all won't take the credit for inventing slavery. That's what I don't understand. Y'all used to literally eat us and use our skin and hair as furniture. Sew that stuff together and use our hair to stuff it in y'all pillows for furniture. And used our babies as alligator bait. There are still sundown towns to this day where I can't go because of the color of my skin, not because of anything that I did. So before y'all sit here and question a black person about why they always make it about race, think about that. That's not the American dream for us. It never was. And if y'all think it is, y'all need to wake the fuck up.
So let's talk about what the real Trump agenda is. Believe it or not, it's all centered around race in this country. So for the people who like to say that woke was the thing that was destroying this nation, you're about to find out just how much the Republican Party and conservatives actually care about race. They have been more focused on it than those people you claim to be woke ever were. Let's start here. If you are Hispanic or Latino, they want you out. They want you out of the country. They don't want you working the jobs you've been working or living in the communities you've been living in. They want all of you out of the country altogether. The fact is, white supremacy has done the numbers, and your community is the biggest threat to them. Your community will be the majority here in this country in less than 5 years. They don't want that, so they're going to try and get all of you out. They don't want to unalive you. It's not how they treat your community. They will settle for you just being outside of America's borders. Now, if you're a Black American, if you're an African American here in this country, that is the community that they want to unalive. They will only settle for us being in two places here in America, that is unalived or in the prison system. Because the prison system will allow them to put us to work with no wages. You know, they will give us the jobs that they took from the Latino people, the people that they sent out of the country. Don't ever forget, when that man was campaigning, he specifically said that Hispanic people are here taking Black jobs. They want Black people working the jobs that they are taking Hispanic people out of, and they want us working for them for no money. And if we refuse to do that, they will unalive us. If you're Middle Eastern, they don't want you here unless you're willing to support what they are doing in Palestine. If you support that, they won't bother you. But if you speak up against that in any way, shape, or form, they're going to ship you out. If you are Asian or even Indian, they will let you stay here if you can help serve them in technology. If you can code, if you can take care of all of the computer stuff that they don't know how to handle, they don't mind you staying here. But if you can't do anything to help them with that, they're going to accuse you of being tied to a terrorist organization, or worse, the Chinese Communist Party. And then they will ship you out. Do they care about eggs? No. Do they care about gas prices? No. Do they care about cost of living? No. Do they care about healthcare? No. I'm going to unpack this in greater detail on my daily podcast. You should go subscribe to my Substack and check out the Lime Room. By the way, if you're a white American and you think you're off the hook, oh no. Your existence fully depends on how much money is in your bank account. Guess what? If you're low income, you get to have the trade jobs. If you don't come from money, you are the ones who get to be the plumbers, the electricians. You get to work in the coal mines. That is the place that this regime wants you to be. And then everybody else can have a good time. There won't be any middle class, so it will strictly be the wealthy, Caucasian section of this country enjoying all of the resources that they have taken from everybody else. I know some of you are going to listen to this TikTok who supported this man and go, this dude is making all of this up. He is speaking nonsense. But please tell me one thing that I said that this man has not already tried to put into place. Please tell me that I'm wrong. I guarantee that you can't do it.
I don't think Donald Trump gives a fuck about America at all. I think he has miraculously fooled millions of people that he cares about them, the country, their interests, whatever the fuck. But I don't think he genuinely cares about America at all. I think that he is capitalizing on an opportunity to not just scam business partners or whatever the fuck it may be, like he has a history of doing, but the entire country, maybe even the entire world. I'm just asking myself, why the fuck would you keep doing these god-awful things, these dumbass executive orders, this just the whole fucking premise of the Trump administration, when it's not only hurting people you obviously don't like Democrats, the left, whatever the fuck, it's also hurting people that supported you when you have a group of supporters that is more diehard about you than we may have ever seen in fucking human history. But then you do things to hurt them as well. And you do inexplicable shit like not release the Epstein files after you told everybody that it was on Pam Bondi's. Like, when there's this amount of inexplicable shit, I start to realize that, like, this man can't possibly actually give a fuck about the country. He just has a real life opportunity to load the pockets of his friends and families. And that's why we see tariffs today, tariffs gone tomorrow, so the stock market can fluctuate, global pump and dump scheme. All this bullshit just so he can broadcast his racism, his delusion of power, and then funnel money to his rich buddies and his family. The Trump family has tripled their net worth since January, while millions of Americans are at risk of losing health care. While legal citizens are being dragged away to deportation centers, aka concentration camps, and there is a high death toll at these deportation centers. He does nothing about that. All the day-to-day fucking bullshit that Americans have to deal with, and he wants to post fake-ass AI videos of Obama getting arrested and himself as the Pope, and wants to make a hubbub about the Washington Commanders being called the Redskins again, or the Cleveland Guardians being called the fucking Indians again, and bullshit we don't give a fuck about. You can call them the fucking Washington toenails for all we give a shit. Some people are about to lose their fucking health care. So when I see a president ignore all that shit and continue to hurt America every day, blatantly, in your face, to the point where his own supporters are finally starting to fucking side-eye this motherfucker, you have to accept this guy never had any fucking plan of helping America, caring about America, making America great again. That was just the phrase that enough dumbass people would buy into to get him back into the Oval Office, back into the Oval Office, back into the Oval Office, after this motherfucker didn't do a peaceful transfer of power. Our civilization is a fucking joke. You get what I'm saying? But the point is, you have to accept that the current president of the United States could give two fucks about individual American citizens as long as his friends and family are making millions of dollars a day. That's all he cares. It's money. It's money and racism. That's all it boils down to. And for some reason, there are plenty of people who, one, aren't racist that still support him and think they can have friends that are of color or of a minority, of a marginalized group. And then two, there's broke people that have been broke for fucking decades and think that this scammy ass billionaire is gonna turn their life around. Like, how many videos do I have to make for you to understand he does not give a fuck about you? If Kamala Harris was doing this shit, I would be on TikTok telling you that she does not give a fuck about you. If Joe Biden was doing this shit, I would be on TikTok telling you that he does not give a fuck about you. If Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Tony Stark, Thanos, Thor, Superman, I don't give a fuck who it is. When they're blatantly doing shit that's hurting Americans and the country and the world. I'm not going to have some bullshit aura of my head in the air saying that I have the best president ever. He's going to make America great again. No. He's solidifying the unworldly wealth of his friends and family while you continue to suffer. Every American in this country, every American in the world, no matter where you are currently, you should be absolutely disgusted and appalled that this is your current president, presidential administration. Mike Johnson is a fucking embarrassment to the whole goddamn country. Peter Thiel, evil as fuck. Stephen Miller, evil as fuck. Whoever the fuck is over the Office of Budget, evil as fuck. The authors of Project 2025, evil as fuck. They showed us Project 2025 early last year. Motherfuckers read that bitch front to back and still gave him the fucking office? Your current federal government does not give a fuck about you. While that may not be news to some of you, this is a level of I don't give a fuck about the American people that we have almost never seen before. What the fuck are we talking about? Lastly, I hope somebody is keeping a record of all the names of people that are a part of ICE this year or applied to work for ICE this year. So hopefully in the future when ICE is normal again and not fucking Americanized Nazis, we have a list of everybody that tried to be an Americanized Nazi. I think we need to put a lot of effort into taking tabs on who is readily going and signing up for ICE right now, happy that they can put on a mask and just go arrest anybody they want just because they look Hispanic or whatever fucking reason they want. Without the need of courts, we need to keep a fucking tab, a record of the people that would go and do some bullshit like that. Those are Nazis in your country. Don't sugarcoat it. Everybody that works for ICE currently or is trying to sign up for ICE, those are Nazis in your country. Take note of that shit.
I'm glad that black people are starting to finally be vindicated. And people are finally starting to understand what the fuck we've been talking about for decades. But I also want to say that it shouldn't take something personally impacting you for you to see whether or not it's right or wrong. I saw a video of this Hispanic man that voted for Trump, mind you, that said that, oh, now I understand what the black community was talking about with racial profiling. And the fact that now that something's impacting you, you want a coalition and you want to talk about community. Y'all are still full of shit, because I know that if the elections were held tomorrow, you guys would still probably vote for a Republican. You guys have not learned your lesson. And a part of me, while it may be fucked up, a part of me truly wants people to experience the consequences of their vote, the consequences of their actions, for them to truly begin to understand what we've been talking about for decades. Because this cycle is going to repeat again. These people haven't learned. It's only affecting them. That's why they're saying something about it. But if they were never impacted, they wouldn't say shit. I guarantee it. And that trust is broken. I'm side-eyeing these people. I don't give a shit. I hold grudges. I'm not forgiving any people that voted for this piece of shit, who ignored everything that people had told them, who didn't learn from the first term. And you have to pay attention to their language, because a lot of times people, rather than take accountability and admit that they fucked up, they'll say that, oh, I didn't vote for this. I didn't know that he was going to do this. Or their favorite go-to is saying that both parties are the same. And I'm really proud of the black community for being on the same page about all of this fuck shit that we said was going to happen. I like that we're resting. I like that we're sitting out. We're still protesting in other ways, but I like that we're not putting our lives on the line for people who wouldn't put their lives on the line for us, who have shown time and time again that they will fuck us over if it means that they get to be closer to white supremacy.
People love to undermine the fact that being black isn't just a race, it's a culture. They use that as a way to invalidate the African American experience. I get so tired of people saying everything isn't always about race when you bring up being black. You're right. It's not always about race. It's about culture. And the reason that y'all are having this disconnect is because y'all refuse to acknowledge black Americans as their own ethnic group. It's not that black people are always making an issue about race. It's that y'all refuse to acknowledge black Americans as its own subcultural group in blackness. And I feel like that's where a lot of the discourse gets confused. Like even the whole thing with Jay Versace, his wording was bad. Him speaking about a lack of Black American models in the fashion industry is valid. I don't know why it's so hard for y'all to recognize Black people as an ethnic group, but I feel like a lot of the diasporic wars conversation would die off if y'all would just accept that. Y'all don't give Afro-Latinas or Haitians this much flack about their identities. I don't know what the obsession is with like trying to forcibly remove the Black American identity from the history books. It's odd. We want to be a distinct cultural group. It's nothing wrong with that. We have our own history. What is wrong with that? I don't know. I just think it's an obsession, but I think it's an obsession that comes from overtly digesting white supremacist rhetoric about Black people. I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions about America is that we live in a melting pot. No, the fuck we do not, because a melting pot would imply that we all share culture equally, when in reality everyone overconsumes Black culture and they gatekeep their own. They get watered down versions of everyone else's culture while they constantly extract from Black culture. And it's not one group, it's all groups. Everyone is participating in Black culture and giving us nothing in return. And no shade, we're getting like palatable whitewashed versions of everyone else's culture. Like y'all don't actually share y'all's culture. Y'all share versions of your culture that you think will be acceptable to white people. That in itself is unfair to Black people because you don't allow us to share. You don't allow us to choose which versions of our culture that we want you to participate in. You just see something and you run with it. And in the process of running with it, you inevitably end up changing the meaning and trying to claim it for yourself. And that is wrong. That is the reason why you don't share your own culture, because that is exactly what you fear. But how is that fair to Black people? Like I said, we don't live in a melting pot. It'll be a melting pot when other groups aren't looking for white validation. There, I said it. No one else ever says it, because America could actually be a lot more diverse, but everyone is forcing themselves into assimilation. And it's like, if you're not assimilating to whiteness, you're trying to assimilate to Blackness, but nobody asked you to assimilate to Blackness. That's the difference. White people do ask you to assimilate. Black people have never once asked you to assimilate into Blackness, ever. And I think that Black people love other people's cultures, but it seems like we are constantly getting a pushback in participation. And I just find that odd.
First, let's be clear. Racism is not just about name-calling or balanced discrimination. It is about centuries of historical conditioning. From slavery to Jim Crow laws to redlining and mass incarceration, Black people in America have lived through generations where race literally determined life chances, where you could live, what job you could have, and even how long you might live. So when your grandparents and parents told you stories about being followed in stores, being stopped by police for no reason, or being denied jobs despite being qualified, it is only natural that you grow up viewing everyday experiences with that context in mind. This is not paranoia, it is lived experience passed down through generations. Even today, studies show that people with Black-sounding names get fewer job interview callbacks than those with white-sounding names. Even with the exact same resume, Black drivers are more likely to be pulled over, searched, and arrested than white drivers, despite studies showing they are less likely to be found with illegal items. And let's not forget high-profile incidents like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless others only reinforce the belief that racism is not just a thing of the past, but an ongoing reality. So, when something bad happens, many Black Americans ask, would this have happened to me if I were white? And honestly, sometimes the answer is yes, but too often the answer is no. Here is where the misunderstanding happens. To outsider, it can feel like Black people are making everything about race. But think about it, if you have lived your whole life experiencing unfair treatment and you have seen others like you treated the same way, you start to notice patterns. For example, being watched more closely in stores, being asked, do you work here, in high-end places, people locking their car doors when you walk by. Each of these incidents might seem harmless to someone else, but to the person on the receiving end, it feels like part of a bigger racialized picture. Here's the truth. Not every bad thing that happens to a Black person is because of racism. Sometimes it is personality clashes, misunderstanding, or just bad luck. But the history and ongoing reality of discrimination means that race is always in the background. It is not that black people want to make everything about race. It is that America made race an unavoidable factor in daily life. And here is the kicker. When someone has been born by racism before, they are more likely to suspect it happening again. That is human nature, not oversensitivity. So how do we bridge this gap? It starts with empathy. Non-black Americans need to understand that these racial perceptions did not come out of thin air. They are rooted in real history and data. And black Americans can also benefit from weighing each other's situations carefully, asking, is this really about race or could there be another reason? This is not about silencing anyone. It is about creating space for real dialogue without jumping to conclusion or dismissing lived experiences. In the end, whether you think everything is about race or not, you cannot deny that race has shaped America in ways we are still dealing with today. Instead of arguing over whether something counts as racism, maybe the bigger question is, how do we create a country where no one has to ask that question at all? Thank you for watching, guys. Do not forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comment box below. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.